All right, hey everyone. Thanks for tuning into this. We figured since we've got some great games going on this weekend, a lot of teams on the cusp of the playoffs or not, we figured we'd kind of pick Tom's brain here and do a Bubble Teams Rapid Fire segment, kind of just go through the matchups and see who Tom thinks is going to come out on the other side in the postseason. All right, let's start in the KLAA. Wall Lake Northern, 5-3, taking on a very tough Northville team.
Well, I didn't think Northern was going to be in this position, but they beat Milford last week to go 5-3. So now, I guess my opinion of Northern just went up, but they're playing Northville, who really came off a tough loss at Plymouth. And in my opinion, Northville went up too after that loss. It's funny how those things happen. I don't think Northern's going to win this game, but who knows? It's high school football, last game of the year. They have a lot to play for.
And if they do end up 5-4, not a chance.
No, they won't. Not enough playoff points.
Well, let's stay with Milford. Let's stay in the KLAA. Milford 5-3, taking on Lakeland. Always a good rivalry.
Yeah, always. You know, that's one thing you really can't put your finger on that well. We'll talk about Southfield, Lathrop later too, but you know, it looks like this would be an easy game for Milford to win, get 6-3, but it's never an easy game against Lakeland. All those kids at Lakeland.
Last year, our game of the year on state champs was when Lakeland upset Milford.
Exactly, and that's what those kids are playing this week for. They're jumping around right now as we speak, thinking we can get these guys, we can keep them out of the playoffs. So I like Milford in this game, but you never know about rivalries.
All right, and again, if Milford ends up 5-4, they're not getting in.
Not enough playoff points.
All right, Churchill taking on Stevenson. The battle of the Livonia schools. Churchill at 5-3.
You know, I looked at. Even mid-season, I looked ahead to this one. I'm thinking Churchill's going to have to win this game to get into playoffs, and that's the way it worked out. And Stevenson's down this year. I know it's a rivalry game. Churchill wins.
Okay. Let's go to the PSL quickly. Cass Tech at 5-3. Probably didn't think Cass Tech would be sitting at 5-3 at this point, but they are. But taking on Renaissance,
that's a little bit of a shocker. I'm talking to Rod Beard, who's a Renaissance grad, and he's saying, Tom. And I thought, you know, Cass would be down after losing to Crockett. A lot of those kids are saying, geez, we can't play for the PSL championship anymore. Right. He said, Tom, don't worry about it. They're playing Renaissance. Anytime those schools play each other, they're going to get geeked up to play each other.
And this is for the playoffs.
This is for the playoffs. If that's the case, and you look at great players at Cass Tech, Royce Jenkins, Stones, and Terry Richardson, and the rest. I mean, wouldn't you want to play another week and have a chance at the state playoffs? So I like Cass in this game. I think they'll be motivated enough.
If they end up at 5-4?
No, they don't have that many great wins on their schedule.
Right, okay. How about to the Downriver League? Always a good battle. Carlson and Woodhaven, both teams at 5-3.
Well, we talked a little about this off camera. Nick Maher, the fine quarterback, junior quarterback at Woodhaven, a little banged up, might not play in this game. If that's the case, Carlson's got a great chance to win in this. Talking to Keith Christnagel over at Woodhaven, he said, you know, Carlson likes to pound the ball. If they get the ball and, you know, waste clock and keep control of it, who knows? Carlson's will win. I like Woodhaven in this game, but I'm kind of hedging my bet on how well Nick Maher plays.
And loser of this one, season's over.
Is gone.
All right. How about to the MAC? Utica Ford and Dakota, another 5-3 battle between both teams.
Well, you just mentioned if they're in or not. If Dakota loses in 5-4, I still think they get in. I don't think they're going to lose. I think what I saw last week with Ford getting pounded by Cousino, I got to believe, you know, Dakota, after losing last week, is going to be motivated here. They want to be 6-3, and who knows where they're going to get wound up. They might get thrown in with Eisenhower in the district. I like Dakota big in this game.
Okay. Roseville and Chip Valley. Roseville, a team that kind of surprised some people early, had some good wins early, but now sitting at 5-3.
Yeah, they kind of fell off a little bit lately, but this is a funny game because Chippewa, it's the same situation for some rivalry games. You know, are they motivated to keep this team out of the state playoffs? If Roseville loses, they're not going to get in at 5-4. This is a toss-up. Chippewa lost last week, 45-0. They have to be a little bit down after that loss, but you would think they'd be motivated. I like Roseville in this game. Just a smidgen.
All right, yeah, Chip Valley would like nothing more than to take care of Roseville. Sure. Sets up a great wrestling matchup. Comes a couple powers when it comes to that sport. All right, Clarkston and Lake Orion in the OAA. Big game, our game of the week here on State Champs. Our main event, Clarkston at 5-3, and that was due to the forfeits that they had to give up
early in the season.
And then shockingly, they lose. Well, maybe not shockingly, but Oxford takes care of business.
Well, I don't think I was shocked, but I think that just shows how good Oxford is, not so much how maybe Lake or Clarkston is falling off. I like Clarkston to win this game, even if they lose. I still think they're going to make it at 5-4, but I'm not sure Kurt Richardson's looking at that. They always want to beat Lake Orion.
Always a great game.
You know, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people at this game. I like Clarkston. I think Clarkson, I know they're 5-3. I still think they're one of the best teams in the metro area.
But you know that Bell is going to have his Dragons ready to go, despite the fact that we're already in.
Right.
They want this win going into the playoffs.
Right.
It gives huge momentum.
If they go 7-2, Lake Orion, I see them, maybe getting a first-round playoff. They could be in the same district as Eisenhower, for example. Eisenhower, if they win their last game, would be 8-1. Mm-hmm. Lake Orion, 7-2, could be number 2 in that district. So it means a lot to Lake Orion, other than the fact that beating Clarkston is such a big motivator.
All right, well, let's get into another great rivalry. Of course, the battle for Southfield. Southfield taking on Southfield, Lathrop Southfield at 5-3, and kind of limping into this one.
Yeah, I know. Tim Conley wasn't really. I mean, that's a tough loss. You lose 13-12 at Troy Athens. You miss a couple of conversions that would have got you the win. And now he's
hurt too.
Talking. Yeah, he's got Brandon Watkins probably won't play. He was talking about Leviticus Payne perhaps going in the backfield as their main tailback back there. So he says we got some athletes. We can make adjustments.
Got Ron Thompson on that team.
Yeah,
he can play.
He says he's really improvement on defense too. I've seen him. I'm really impressed with Ron on offense.
He's getting a lot of play lately too.
He said he's lost like 20 pounds since the season started. He's really moving a lot better. I like Southfield in this game, but it's a grudge match, and there's nothing more than Lathrop would like to do than knock Southfield out. And Southfield doesn't make it at 5-4.
That's what I was just going to say. Unlike earlier in the season where they probably would have because of the losses recently.
Right.
5-4 doesn't get them in. All right, how about we go to the Western Wayne and Fortson taking on a good Monroe team. Fortson at 5-3.
It's funny. Monroe was 6-0, lost 2 in a row, but they lost to 2 good teams, Pioneer in overtime, then Temperance Bedford.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I saw at Fortson last week. I was not impressed, but the way I see it, it depends on how many teams get in at 5-4. All the additional qualifiers. Fortson could get in at 5-4, but I don't think Walker Zaban is looking at that. They could be without Michael Berry. They're a fine running back. That's going to hurt them. I like Monroe in this game, but Fortson still might get in at 5-4.
All right, well, let's go back to the OAA. Battle of Birmingham. You got Groves and Seaholm. Groves at 5-3.
And Groves is a situation that Monroe was in, losing 2 in a row. I mean, Groves was sitting on top of the blue division, the OAA, now lost 2 in a row, 5-3. Not only don't they get the division title, now they're fighting for their lives to get into the playoffs. I like Groves in this game. I think there's a lot of motivation involved with teams trying to get in the playoffs. I know a lot of times that disappears halfway through the first quarter. Your emotions kind of disappear, and it all comes down to blocking and tackling. I still think Groves win this game. I think they get their running game back.
And when Groves is the talk of the city for most of the season, Seaholm would like nothing more, already in the playoffs, than to send Groves packing. Do Groves get in at 5-4?
No, they do not.
Okay.
I don't think so. Some projections I've seen have them in there. I don't see them getting in.
Yeah, they certainly don't want to take that chance.
No.
Not be sweating on Selection Sunday.
They got some good wins on their resume, though.
All right, well, let's go to Bloomfield Hills. We've got 2 5-3 teams going at it, Lasser and Andover.
Well, Andover is actually 0-8. So
okay, I'm sorry.
You got Lasser trying to get in, and not Lasser because of playing an 0-8 team. They won't get. I don't see them.
I love the Andover. Just gave it.
I don't think Lasser gets in at 5-4. This is a must-win, and a lot of people say, "Well, geez, why even talk about this?" So Andover has lost so many close games this year.
Exactly.
They
should have at least 4 wins.
They would be easy for them to be 4-4 at this point.
Yeah. Okay. And that's kind of like the Taylor Truman analogy as we used earlier. Birmingham Brother Rice. What can you say? They're sitting at 4-4. Hard to believe. Lost some really tough games. Going up against a charter school, Chandler Park, that suffered their first loss. They're 7-1 going into this one, but again, played collegiate well. Can they beat Rice, or is Rice going to get in?
I think they could beat Rice, but I think the difference here will be the line player Rice on the offensive and defensive sides. Rice, if they win, they have the most playoff points as we speak of any 4-4 team. So they're going to get bonus points for beating a seven-win team. Yeah. Granted, Chandler Park is not a Class A school, so they don't get those big points.
Sure. It'll be enough to get them.
It'll more than enough.
Right.
So I see Rice being in the playoffs, and who knows? Farmington Harrison first round.
Right, here we go again.
Deja vu once again.
And finally, let's wrap it up then. University Liggett who is undefeated.
8-0. How about a surprise there?
Yeah, exactly. And
new coach.
Right, taking on Waterford, Our Lady of the Lakes, the usual perennial Division 8 power, at least out on this side. They're sitting at 4-4.
You know, it's kind of funny to see Mike Boyd's teams be in this position, because it's almost assuming that they would get in every year.
Yeah.
Hey, they played a tough schedule. They went to Country Day and played, and it might have, you know, kicked them in the butt playing that game. But the way I see it, they beat an 8-0 Class C team. Lakes is in the playoffs as well at 5-4.
All right. Well, there you go. Some little rapid fire bubble team talk here. Remember, if you want to comment on this, you can certainly do it right there. Comment on the Facebook page. You can send us an email, AskThomasStateChamps.tv. You can call us on the radio show this Friday night from 10 to midnight on WDFN 11:30 a.m. Tom will not be here this week, but we'll have his colleague Rod Beard, and we can talk a little college recruiting too, because Rod knows that. So glad you could join us. We'll see you next time.